Nicaragua. It's then run by this guy, but he dies, and he's replaced by his oldest son, but he dies, and he's replaced by his younger brother, and he inherited a crisis, a left-wing guerrilla group called the Sandinista Liberation Front. The Sandinistas were founded by these nerds, but the real man that was in charge was Daniel Ortega, and the group was surrounded by a lot of enemies, except for Cuba, which they would send advisors and receive Soviet weapons to fight the Nicaraguan government. But an earthquake in 1972 would help them, and the U.S. would withdraw aid from the Somoza dictatorship. But after years of fighting, the Sandinistas overthrew the Somoza dictatorship in 1979, and they introduced literacy programs and the nationalization of businesses and land distributions. But the exiled elite, mad about losing their privileges, would ask for U.S. help, and so they began training a new right-wing group called the Contras, and from Honduras, they crossed into Nicaragua, beginning the Contra War. The Contras would use the jungle as guerrilla warfare, and they were made up of old National Guard of the former regime and some Sandinista officials. The Contras would control the rural and highland areas, and their main base was back in Honduras, but battles between the Sandinistas and Contras were brutal, and the Contras would famously use scorched earth, and they would kill high-profile Sandinista leaders. But there's one question you're probably asking me right now. How did the Contras even get funded in the first place? First of all, the U.S. supported the Contras, but there's one teensy-bitty problem they had to deal with. Congress forbid any foreign aid going to the Contras, but there's an opportunity in the Middle East, as Iraq and Iran were at war with each other, and the Lebanese Civil War was going on at the same time, and one of the groups, Hezbollah, took some hostages that were from the U.S., and Hezbollah has connections to Iran. This is quite the pickle. Psst, hey kid, you wanna buy some weapons? Boy, that sounds swell! So the U.S. began selling weapons to Iran in exchange for hostages and money, which would go to pay the Contras. And the CIA began buying and selling cocaine, and this became known as the Iran-Contra affair. And one person took the blame for it all, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, which was later acquitted, probably because of the Shredder. Many operations will kick out throughout the country, as Operation Trinidad, Operation Rama Highway, and these two coastal villages would kick out. But sadly, many documents and many sources I couldn't really find, so you're gonna have to take it with a grain of salt that these really happened.
Wait, what are you doing?
Throughout 1983 to 1984, the Contras would bomb Sandinista ports, preventing them from getting any of their Soviet supplies. But that was only in contrast to the May 30th, 1984, La Prensa bombing and the San Juan River, where a Nicaraguan politician held a press meeting with many journalists, and a bomb went off, killing many and injuring many more. After years of fighting and getting nowhere, the Contras disbanded at this point, and the Sandinistas decided to hold elections, with this woman as the opposition nominee, and Daniel Ortega as the Sandinista nominee, and Ortega lost in a landslide, finally ending the Sandinistas' reign over Nicaragua, until 2006, until Ortega came back and won the election, and he's been the president ever since. And so that, dear viewer, was the Contra War, a very minor conflict that was part of a bigger conflict, a cold conflict. That's right, I'm talking about